Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat. 2020 has been an absolutely terrible year in every sense of the word. However, some good things happened in Toonami this year, so I'm going to cover the top 5 best Toonami moments of 2020. Let's start with number 5. Number 5 was them moving JoJo Golden Wind earlier in the block. Now, if you know the story behind this, at some point, I want to say in like maybe July, somewhere in summer, we had the announcement that JoJo was going to be briefly pulled from the block because they had run out of dubbed episodes. A lot of people started panicking about, will it return to the block? When will it return to block? Because again, Boruto was fresh in a lot of people's memories. Boruto show that at the time got pulled from the block and was promised to come back to the block sometime, but it has yet to return and probably never will return to Toonami, unfortunately. A lot of people were worried, but however, not that long afterward, we got the announcement that the rest of the season was coming to back to Toonami, and not only that, it would be airing in the second slot in the block behind Dragon Ball Super. This is virtually unprecedented, because usually JoJo, even in its like prime and its highest viewership on the block, it kind of got shafted late in the block. And a lot of people were just really excited. And really, like I said, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has become this really stable staple of the block. Every parts 1 through 5, had aired on Toonami, with hopefully someday part 6 also airing on Toonami. So, and it was one of those things like it avoided what I call the Hunter x Hunter treatment. Hunter x Hunter being partially infamous for its Toonami run for being slowly pushed further and further back of the block to the point where you have moments like the moment with Kamugi and Meriwem and the fight between Pito and Gon happening at 3:30 in the morning when no one was watching, you know. But it avoided that. And yeah, the key ending moments here of Golden Wind aired at 12:30 at a very prime spot. And not only that, a lot of people were worried that, well, JoJo, especially parts 4 and 5, didn't really rate that well in the block. However, when it was put out of Dragon Ball Super, it picked up the slack, retained very well from Dragon Ball Super, and I thought was one of the better feel-good stories of the year in 2020, at least with regards to Toonami, which is why I put it on this list at number 5. Number 4 were the Batman marathons. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of Batman per se. However, when this was announced, there is a very strong positive reaction from the Toonami fan base. Because again, Batman has been a very it's been played a big part in Toonami's history because a lot of people when they hear Toonami think, oh, anime, it's anime. However, no, it's had history. It's had its own share of airing American TV shows, American animation, especially like stuff like Justice League aired on the block. The OG Teen Titans aired on the block back in the day. Symbionic Titan aired on it. I think Megas XLR aired on it at some point. I might be wrong on that one. But still, American animation has made its mark on Toonami. And a lot of people were excited for these movies. I believe it was a promotion for some event Justice League was for some event that DC was having at the time. It was not the show for HBO Max. It was something else. I already forgot, but again, and it was a nice little break because at the time Toonami's ratings were in a really ugly state. Again, with how 2020 was, with very little dub premieres that air on the block, a lot of the staples of the block running out of episodes. Toonami at many times was just finding some ways to fill up the time. And this was a nice little break a lot of people liked. A lot of people liked the movies they selected for it. It was 2 weekends, I want to say in September, maybe it was October. It was somewhat recently. And again, it's nice to see a DC presence back on the block. We've had before, it had been a little bit of a time since DC really had anything of a mainstay on Toonami. And it was nice to see it, come back for a little bit of a time. And that was the number 4 best thing to happen this year on Toonami. Number 3 were the announcements of Fina Pirate Princess and Shenmue. Now, these were new shows. These are Toonami co-productions. Both were co-productions with Crunchyroll. And we already had, and what I thought I put Fina was even better than Shenmue in my opinion, because when we got the announcement at Adult Swim Expo of Fina Pirate Princess, it was the first announcement of the night, which usually means that's the biggest thing they want to put up front. Not only did they have Fina Pirate Princess, we got a nice little trailer too, showing that we're further along animation with this than we have for Uzumaki, than for Blade Runner as well, which is a promising sign that Fina Pirate Princess will be airing sooner rather than later. My prediction is sometime February or March of 2021. That's when we will get it. However, we haven't had anything concrete come out of Toonami or of Adult Swim yet. So again, that's just all speculation. And again, Shenmue, a title a lot of people like. And really, I read, and I'm not that familiar with Shenmue. I read up on Shenmue. It's an interesting little rabbit hole of like how the original video game was like the most expensive game made at the time, but it was like this rousing success. It's a nice little read if you want to. It's a nice little rabbit hole. Look up Shenmue and like the game, the initial game itself. Very devout fan base, and I can definitely understand why it got the announcement of having its own show. You know. And that was the number three best thing to happen in Toonami in 2020. Now on to number two. Number two was Assassination Classroom. And this is a show I kind of scoffed at when it first came out. However, it has built its own pretty devout following on the block. It hit that sweet spot of being an older show, not too old to be unrelatable, but not new enough where everyone's already just seen it and they don't want to see it again. It had reasonably decent ratings the entire time so far on the block at Toonami. And my theory it is, look at it. You cannot tell me this show does not remind you of My Hero Academia. You know, kids thrown into an impossible situation, and it's a bunch of high schoolers, and they're bouncing kind of these like shonen elements with slice of life elements too. And that's what I think led to the popularity of My Hero Academia in general. And and like I said, it built often, almost all the time on the shows before, last week being an exception, and these include something like TV dub premieres in Fire Force or true dub premieres like War of the Underworld Part 2. And I just find that to be absolutely impressive. And that's the type of thing that, considering there's still like 30 something more episodes that can air, this looks like Toonami might have, for about most of the next year, found something of a solid rock of a show to keep things on. And that's just a type of thing that Toonami really needs right now, where there's kind of struggling for dubbed content. They have to kind of reach back into the old bag of tricks. And yeah, that's the number two best thing to happen in Toonami in 2020. Before I'm going to number one, I want to cover only a couple actually honorable mentions. There's not been that many good announcements this year, but there are two more things I kind of want to mention as stuff I strongly considered but decided against putting on this list. The first one was the Shenmue announcement. Again, I decided, you know what, being a Pirate Princess also had a new announcement. Being a Pirate Princess was a bit more impressive, but again, Shenmue is something I think I could just tie in with being a Pirate Princess and just briefly mention. And another one was the Halloween marathon of The Promised Neverland. If you have followed me, you know that far and away my favorite show on Toonami of the last few years was The Promised Neverland. And I was just really happy that Toonami kind of remembered it existed. And with this marathon, it shows an indication that we might get season 2 picked up when that airs. I believe it airs in Japan in mid-January. The second season starts. Again, winter 2021 is going to be insanely stacked for anime in general. You know. And then the number one best thing to happen in Toonami in the year 2020 of our Lord and Savior was War of the Underworld. Now, again, and this shouldn't be that much of a surprise if you follow me. I have talked a lot about how big this show has been for the block this year. Again, there has been two true dub premieres airing on Toonami in 2020, that being War of the Underworld Part 1 and War of the Underworld Part 2. And like I said, that's predominantly the reason why. Like, if this was like truly rating what my favorite shows on the block was, I wouldn't be talking about the show. I like the first part, but honestly, the second part, I have 3 episodes in my DVR, and I'm kind of struggling to get the motivation to watch them. But at the same time, I mean, you gotta sit back and appreciate this idea, this concept. And again, War of the Underworld, I know I just said bad stuff about it, but at the same time, it is a healthy step up from the first two Sword Art Online seasons, in my opinion. And let's be honest, the majority of the people watching this are males. You cannot tell me this show is not a pure-blooded waifu machine. And it's hard to say no to a waifu machine. And again, it's just one of these things like War of the Underworld came through. It really feels like it's improving its own style. And like I said, true dub premiere. Can't say no to the concept of having a true dub premiere. Like, be like, what about Paranoia Agent? It aired on Adult Swim back in the days of Adult Swim action. What about Assassination Classroom? It's a decade old. Well, what about stuff like Black Clover? It airs on Funimation now first. My Hero Academia also airs on Funimation now first. Promised Neverland Season 2? Sit down, buddy. It's going to air on Funimation now first, unfortunately, which is sad because of the fact that usually Aniplex has kind of come through for Toonami. That being, of course, in the case of War of the Underworld, considering that is owned by Aniplex USA, the dubbing rights at least. However, Aniplex seems to be a little bit more in better terms with Funimation, which is a bit scary for Toonami because this has kind of been this alongside with to a degree Viz Media have been the big sources of the true dub content. Like I believe at the time, Hunter x Hunter was a world premiere. The dub was a world premiere when it aired. I might be wrong on that. And also maybe Kill la Kill, I think, was a true dub premiere when it first aired. But again, but at the same time though, it's nice to appreciate we got a true dub premiere in War of the Underworld. The only one we got this year. Are we going to get more in 2021? Well, we kind of have to because we have at least as of right now, slated to have 3 Toonami originals airing next year. Those are 3 true dub premieres right there. Again, like I said, 2021, at least on paper, should be a much, much, much better year in the anime industry. Probably a much better year for Toonami. Like, I'm just thinking of the winter. Just in the winter, we have Attack on Titan Season 5, Dr. Stone Season 2, Promise Neverland Season 2. Those are 3 shows that more likely than not will be on Toonami. We have SSSS Gridman coming sometime in January. You have all these shows where, more likely not, to fit them in, we would have to have some type of block expansion. And I don't know how they're going to manage that. I don't know how they're going to do it. That's a bunch of logistic stuff. So expect probably as soon as January for the next January 3rd schedule, we're going to have quite a video to talk about a lot of shifting around. Maybe we get another marathon on January 3rd, and then January 10th is the start of the new schedule. But again, 2020 has been a very, very bad year in general. However, there have been some good moments, and I made this video to point out some good things have happened in Toonami this year. But again, what do you guys think? What do you think the best things to happen in Toonami in 2020 were? Are you as excited as I am for the anime slate we have in 2021? Do you think that redo of Healer should be on Toonami? Oh, that's not going to happen, but I want to live in a world where redo of Healer is going to be on Toonami. It's not going to happen, but geez, what if it did? What do you guys think? What do you think the best moments of 2020 were for Toonami? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I love reading them. If you like this content, if you want me to keep doing more Toonami content like this, please like, please comment, and subscribe. I am the Super Orange Cat, and that is all.